Penultimate final of the regatta. Australia, the world champions last year in the women's eights. Romania, the Olympic champions.
Another great race in prospect here, David, and I guess in these conditions a fantastic time too. We've seen how the wind speeded up the men's quads, and it's going to do exactly that for the women's eights, except they should be able to handle it a little bit better. But for me, the crew that's going to dominate this race, you've got to take on the Americans, because they were fantastic in their heat, very, very dynamic, and they've gone out with intent today.
China well up there in lane two from the top of your picture, and there to be respected. Now we've seen what the Chinese can do right the way through this regatta. Any crew they get into a final, you have to keep a close eye on.
Yeah, and a look across from Brett Sickler, the bow woman in the American 8, just to check that she's up. She's up on the crew on the Australians are the world champions, and also the Chinese, which is really important. But I think this crew, you just get a look at their technique. Normally the Americans, they're very brutal, and they don't quite get the boat timed together. But I think Tom Tahar has done a great job with this bunch of women from the Princeton Training Centre, and they look in really good form.
So America, good commanding advantage already so early in the race here. Germany just hunting them up on the near side. China still in second place, and Australia just taking a wee while to find their rhythm.
Yeah, you wouldn't want, if you were the defending world champions, you wouldn't say to another crew in the race, go on, have a length by 500 metres. I mean, you know, that is really laying it down from the Americans.
Well, they've given themselves every chance now. Germany just moving up into the silver medal position. Romania, well, it's in a way a new outfit. The Romanians who have a knack of coming good when the Olympics come around. And who knows, maybe they'll bring Elisabeta Lipa out of retirement for yet another medal attempt.
Yeah, I'm slightly surprised at the Romanians in one way, because they were very, very good in Lucerne, where they beat the Americans and did hang on to that World Cup leaders jersey. But, you know, you've really got to be brave in these conditions, and I think the Americans know how to handle them. And they've got that experience there in Princeton with Mike Tatey, the men's coach, Tom Tahar, and I think they've said to these women, like, you're the strongest, big, powerful ergometer pullers, and get out in front.
Yeah, Karen Davis with Caroline Lind in the 7th seat, picking it up, Susan Francia. And then in the engine room, Anna Mickelson and Lindsay Shoup, Anna Goodall, and in the bow, Megan Cook and Brett Sigler in the bow seat itself. And Germany now Elke Hippler, really, really good stroke, and she's beginning to get Germany into this. Yeah,
I mean, Elke Hippler and Nicole Zimmermann are fantastic athletes. Just see a shot of the American crew there, and we can see that cohesion. But Elke Hippler out of picture in the German 8. Really, they make a difference to this crew. They weren't in the German 8 that finished 3rd in Lucerne. You put them back in and you actually see the difference in pace the Germans have got now, competitive.
Half distance and still the best part of a length to the United States ahead of Germany. Germany, who last won the women's 8 title in 2003, and always great competition.
Oh, look at that shipwreck there. That's very difficult conditions. The Americans just showing how tough it is out there, and very quick time. I don't think a world record might be on with that sort of shipwreck capacity.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with the way that they pulled it together again, and all credit to Karen Davis for getting the boat back on the straight and narrow.
Yeah, I remember it was heartache for them in Milan in 2003 with the big shipwreck, and they lost that gold medal there. But no mistakes needed in this last 1,000 metres, please, for the Americans as far as their supporters are concerned.
Moving up, or trying to move up, Australia. They're just about in the bronze medal position, the defending champions. But now Germany beginning to make a little bit of progress. It was the best part of a length. That's cut back to perhaps 3/4 of a length. The angle's a little difficult to judge here, but they are beginning to move through. And Ina Ruppel, the coxswain for the German 8 here, barking out the plan to her crew, and just as I said that, the Americans pushed.
Yeah, I think what the Germans are doing is just staying clean. They're actually rowing very, very well, very clean in these conditions, and I think that gave them the move back on America. But once America saw the move, they checked it.
7:50 to go, a little less than that. And on the far side now, China beginning to get back into the race.
Yeah, they are, but you know, really you've got to be in contact early on. And the Americans, well, that's a breathtakingly fast pace, 4:25. Yeah, maybe the world record's on, maybe not, but you're going to have to say clean to get that in the last 500 metres.
Well, there's no doubt about this, Martin. They're going to have to withstand the challenge from Germany, because Germany, who were quickest in that third quarter, are sustaining, and now they're beginning to count the women off.
Yeah, interesting to see Germany racing in a Philippi boat, not the Empacker that you'd normally expect to see the Germans racing in, but they're making good use of the water, good use of the shell, and there's Elke Hippler winding the rate up to get on terms with the Americans.
Still a good half length to find, and Karen Davis and Mary Whipple facing her stroke and really driving this American crew. Not far to go now, and it is America versus Germany. These two have drawn well away from Australia. China closing on Australia, but still work to do. There's Mary Whipple, looks across to the German crew. Half a length maybe the difference between the two, but it is the USA. They've led pretty well all the way now, and it's a question of who wants it, and I think it's the Americans who are going to get there first. They really are hungry for this, and they are driving for the line now. Germany still half a length down, and the gap is not closing. In fact, as I say that, the Americans just push again, and they are going to take this by the best part of 3/4 of a length, and the USA come home to take the women's eights. The gold medal goes to America from Germany, from Australia in third, chased home by the Chinese, and then on the far side, Canada coming home ahead of Romania, a very disappointing sixth.
Yeah, very disappointed for Romania, but the Americans absolutely elated, and every right to be.
So the women of the United States, they strike gold. The big question coming right up is whether the men can match or better that performance in the men's eights final.
Yeah, and these American women, they're really hungry for Olympic gold in Beijing.